Okay, let's talk about a journey that moves at, get this, just 1 mile per hour. But it's carrying the entire future of human space exploration on its back. This is the story of NASA's Artemis II rocket, its incredible, almost painfully slow trek to the launch pad, and the truly historic ground it's headed for. I think the Artemis launch director, Charlie Blackwell Thompson, really captures the feeling perfectly. This is it. This is the moment the whole world gets its first real look at the vehicle that's going to take humans back to the moon, as it slowly, majestically rolls out of the iconic Vehicle Assembly Building, the VAB. And believe me, when you see it, that's when the sheer scale of what we're doing really hits you. So to really wrap your head around that scale, let's throw out some numbers. The entire stack, we're talking the rocket, the Orion capsule on top, and the massive mobile launch platform it sits on, the whole thing weighs a staggering 11 million pounds. It's an almost unimaginable weight just inching its way toward the pad. And it's not just how heavy it is, it's how tall it is. We're looking at 322 feet. To put that in perspective, that's like a 32-story building just cruising across the Florida landscape. This isn't just a rocket anymore. It's literally a skyscraper on the move. But yeah, this skyscraper moves slowly. I mean, really, really slowly. That 4-mile trip from the VAB to the launch pad, it's this super careful crawl that can take up to 12 hours. The giant crawler transporter that carries it, it maxes out at just 1 mile per hour. And you can see why, right? It's all about making sure this incredibly precious cargo stays perfectly safe and stable. So this whole rollout, it's an amazing piece of engineering all by itself. But you know what? The destination for this slow-moving giant is every bit as impressive as the rocket. Because this rocket isn't just heading to any old launch site. Nope. It's rolling on to what is, without a doubt, one of the most historic pieces of real estate on the entire planet, Launch Complex 39B. And look, this is so much more than just a big slab of concrete. Pad 39B, it's a cornerstone of American space exploration. You could say it's hallowed ground. This is the spot where some of humanity's biggest, boldest dreams have taken flight. And now, it's being reborn for the next generation. Now, what's really interesting is how 39B is different from its super famous neighbor, 39A. You probably know 39A, that's the one SpaceX leases, and it's become this bustling hub for commercial launches. But Pad 39B, that has stayed firmly under NASA's control. It's been totally redesigned as a multi-user clean pad, which basically makes it the heart and soul of the Artemis program and NASA's whole vision for getting us back to the moon. And speaking of its history, you just can't talk about Pad 39B without diving into its incredible legacy. I mean, every single mission that blasts off from here is, in a very real way, standing on the shoulders of giants. I mean, just take a look at this timeline. The story of this pad is the story of American spaceflight. It launched Apollo 10, which was the final dress rehearsal for the first moon landing. It sent crews up to Skylab, America's very first space station. It was an absolute workhorse for the space shuttle program, supporting 53 missions that, built the International Space Station. And then, more recently, it was the launch site for Artemis I, that successful uncrewed test that totally paved the way for the mission we're talking about right now. But let's be super clear. This is not your grandfather's launch pad anymore. To handle the raw, incredible power of these new Artemis rockets, Pad 39B has been completely rebuilt from the ground up. It's been totally redesigned for a brand new era of exploration. So the main idea behind this massive renovation is what they call the clean pad concept. What does that mean? Well, by getting rid of all the old structures that were specific to things like the space shuttle, NASA has created this incredibly versatile platform. It's not just for the current SLS rocket, it's designed to handle a whole range of future vehicles, even ones that are still on the drawing board. It's like they're future-proofing our path to the stars. And the upgrades? Man, they are just wild. To deal with that crazy Florida weather, you've got 3 600-foot lightning towers. To survive the launch heat, we're talking 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. The flame trench is lined with over 1 million special fire bricks. And to handle the deafening roar of those engines, a massive sound suppression system dumps 400,000 gallons of water in less than 30 seconds. This is just engineering on an absolutely epic scale. All right, so we've got the rocket, we've got the launch pad. Now let's get to the most important part of any mission, the people. Because that's what this is all about, putting humanity back on the path to deep space. And what a crew they've assembled to lead the charge. Seriously, this crew is a perfect reflection of this new era of exploration. You've got Commander Reed Wiseman. You've got pilot Victor Glover, who will be the first person of color to fly to the moon. Mission specialist Christina Cook, who will be the first woman to fly to the moon. And from the Canadian Space Agency, Jeremy Hansen, the first non-American ever to make this journey. This crew truly embodies a global, collective mission back to the moon. So, what's the plan? Well, their 10-day mission is basically a critical shakedown cruise. First, they'll launch and spend a full 24 hours in a high Earth orbit, just making sure every single system on the Orion spacecraft is good to go. Then comes the big moment, the translunar injection burn. That's when they fire the engines to blast them on a path all the way around the far side of the moon. Now, they won't be landing this time, but they'll use the moon's gravity to do this incredible slingshot maneuver back home for a super high-speed re-entry and a splashdown in the Pacific. But here's the thing, it's so important to remember that this 10-day flight, as mind-blowing as it is, isn't the final destination. Not even close. Artemis II is a supercritical link in a much, much longer chain of human exploration. Think of this mission as the bridge. It connects the uncrewed test flight of Artemis I with the next huge goal, Artemis III, which is actually landing astronauts back on the lunar surface. This whole thing isn't about just planting flags and leaving footprints again. No, this time it's about learning how to live and work on another world. It's about building a sustainable, long-term human presence out there. And that brings us to the ultimate goal, the moon. That's the proving ground. Everything we learn there, how to build habitats, how to use resources that are already there, how to protect ourselves from that crazy, harsh environment, all of it. Every single lesson is absolutely necessary for taking humanity's next giant leap, sending the first astronauts to Mars. So as this massive rocket stands on this historic pad, just remember it represents so much more than just one mission. It's a powerful symbol of our deep, relentless need to explore. You know, decades ago, this exact same spot sent the Apollo 8 crew on humanity's first ever journey to orbit the moon. Now, it's about to send us back. And it just leaves you with this one awe-inspiring question. What future missions will we launch from here to Mars and beyond?